Protest in Turkey next, continuing into a seventh day. Let's show you the scene in Istanbul. It is absolutely jam-packed. An estimated 500,000 people in the city out there protesting. The city's mayor remains in detention. He is Ekrem İmamoğlu. He's seen as a major rival to President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. İmamoğlu has been arrested on what his supporters are calling bogus allegations of corruption and supporting Kurdish terrorists. Paris-based Reporters Without Borders is also condemning the arrest of 7 journalists who've been covering these protests. Well, Turkey's President Erdogan spoke a little earlier.
I invite everyone to know their limits, maintain moderation, and not to cross the line between seeking rights and engaging in insult and vandalism. Those who spread terror in the streets and want to turn this country into a fire have no destination. The path they take is a dead end.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Jasper Mortimer is standing by for us. We join him live now in Ankara. Jasper, a very good evening to you. What's the latest you can tell us?
Mark, I've got a series of snapshots for you. The first one, I'm going to begin with that vast crowd outside the Istanbul City Council offices. I'm glad you've got pictures of it. They have been listening to the leader of the opposition, Özgür Özel, who has been leading the protests against the government since Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu was detained on Wednesday morning. Özel announced that tonight is the last of the nightly protests. In future, the opposition will call demonstrations on specific occasions. The next one is scheduled for Saturday night in the Istanbul district of Maltepe. Now, Erdogan said yesterday that the protests would fizzle out, so he will be well pleased by this development. But tonight's crowd is as big as last night's crowd. It is not true that the people's support for the opposition cause is fading. It does seem, however, that after 7 nights in a row, the opposition is deciding to conserve its energy. There have also been demonstrations in Ankara, where I am, and in Şişli, a district of Istanbul, where the government deposed the elected mayor and appointed a government official in his place. And there, the protesters in front of the police have been doing push-ups in the street, as if to say, look how peaceful we are. They're trying to make it as hard as possible for the police to act against them. In another snapshot, 7 journalists have been detained pending trial, charged with failing to leave the scene when the police ordered the crowd to disperse. Now, this is rather weird. Mark, you've been a reporter. You will know when the police give the order to disperse, reporters take to the sidelines and watch what happens. It is their job to report on what follows, a baton charge or rubber bullets or whatever. So this is an unusual prosecution. Also, the Istanbul prosecutors have written a letter to the opposition party demanding that it take down the posters of Ekrem İmamoğlu that are plastered all over the city. They say the government has suspended İmamoğlu as mayor of the city, and so the posters should be removed. The party responded it would not take down the posters.
Jasper, you were telling me earlier that the police are now investigating Ankara's mayor. What can we read into that?
Yes, I think this is the most worrying development. You know, the Ankara City Council has said that prosecutors are investigating the mayor on allegations of misuse of public funds. No charges yet, it's just an investigation. Now, the mayor of Ankara, Mansur Yavaş, has a sterling reputation. He's been mayor of the city of 5 million people for 6 years. I've never heard of his being investigated for corruption before. Opinion polls say he is more popular than İmamoğlu. He doesn't have İmamoğlu's charisma, but he has a reputation for being businesslike and being a good administrator. Now, if Erdogan manages to disqualify Ekrem İmamoğlu from the presidential race, undoubtedly the opposition would ask Mansur Yavaş to take up his mantle and be the opposition's candidate in the next presidential election. So I think supporters of democracy in Turkey will be extremely worried to hear that Mansur Yavaş is now being investigated himself, because it suggests that President Erdogan is trying to clear the opposition from the field, eliminating both Yavaş and İmamoğlu from the presidential race.
Jasper Mortimer, thank you for that insight into what is happening now in Turkey. As you say, it looks like hundreds of thousands of people are on the streets. That is spreading across the country. And that alarming news that Ankara's mayor is now under police investigation too, suggesting a more wider clampdown by President Erdogan on any opposition. Jasper Mortimer, our correspondent there in Ankara. Thank you so very much indeed. Time now for Truth or Fake.